All right, guys, next thing we're gonna be doing is timing. So to start off, actually, let me start down here. So you want this little slot for the keyway to be lined up with the crankshaft. I mean with the main caps. Right there. So that's gonna be your top dead center, and if you put a screwdriver in there, you should be able to tell if you keep cranking it. Watch. Crank, and it'll start going down, down, and then it starts going up, and then as soon as I line it up with the main cap, it'll focus. A little bit too far. Go one more time. Right there. That's top dead center. And then you need to put on these guides right here. This one, you don't have to worry about this yet. Let me take this off actually. You want your cam gears, as you can see, you have a little line right there, a line right there. You want these two to line up perfectly, so this one's got to come down just a hair. And you can either twist it with the 14 here or the piece right here with an adjustable wrench, but this is better, so I'm going to lightly turn. 1 second. Here, so as you can see, you got these two lined up, and then you're gonna have a dimple. Kind of hard to see with the lighting. Dimple right there, and dimple. It's hard to show you guys, but it's a little dot right there. All right, so you're gonna have a couple links. This orange one right here and right here are gonna match up with that dimple and that dimple right there. And then this orange link on the bottom is gonna match the dimple right there on the crankshaft. So we're gonna go ahead, seat this on top of there, and it should all line up. All right, so timing chain is installed. This tensioner is installed. I haven't pulled the tensioner yet, hold on. So we wanna double check everything first. So this orange one lines up with that dimple. This is top dead center lined up with the main bearing. You got your tensioner is tightened all the way up here. You got that orange link corresponding to that dimple on there. You got your middle orange here. This orange lined up with that dimple right there. And then this bolt right here tightened on your tensioner. And what you're gonna do, pull the little pin like a grenade, and boom, your motor should be timed properly. What you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna crank it over and just make sure everything lines up over and over again. All right, so here we got our OCV plug. You just push it in. You got a little Torx key right there. And then you have your two camshaft position sensors. Same thing, just squish it in, crank it down, squish it in, crank it down. This thing's starting to look more and more complete. Next is the timing cover, oil pan, valve cover, and then all the accessories. So now we got the timing cover that we got to do. Should probably get my bolts ready. We'll figure it out. So we got to go all the way around the edge. And don't forget your rear main seal. Tap that in nice and flush all the way around.
The front main seal.
Front main seal, sorry. And then you got this cap right here.
What about right here? Do we need anything here or no?
No. lastly, but second to last to seal up the motor.
What are you using, by the way?
Permatex 1 minute gasket maker gray. This is for the oil pan. Pulley, so you gotta put the little keyway in. Alright, this is the new valve cover gasket. As we put this in, the motor will be fully sealed. Alright guys, so it's the next day. What we're gonna start doing today is accessories. So we're gonna do water pump. You're gonna put your pulleys, your other pulley, your tensioner, alternator, intake manifold, exhaust manifold. You got your thermostat back here. We're gonna do motor mounts on either side. And then this bad girl should be ready to go right in there. So hopefully today's the day that we get this bitch in there and we get her running. Let's get started. All right, so to start off, we got our first one. It's gonna go right there. So you're gonna have two of these exact same pulleys or whatever you wanna call them, but rollers. They're the exact same thing. The other one goes right there, so you don't need to differentiate them. They do the same thing. They go in the same spot, or they have the same bolt, just different spot. All right, so they are 15s. Tighten it. Boom. And boom. So those are good. Next, we're probably gonna put, we could either do the alternator or the water pump. I'm probably gonna do the alternator first, just because there's no gasket over on that side, and I have this whole water pump and thermostat assembly kind of still intact, so you need 2 hands for that. So let me grab the alternator. All right, so I'm putting this on. Your longest bolt is gonna go there. Your 2 shorter bolts are gonna go here, and your 2 longer bolts are gonna go there. And just crank these down, and that's your pullers. All right, now that we got the bracket all tightened up, next thing we're gonna do is put the alternator on. You're gonna have to tap it into place with a mallet so you can line up your holes and put your bolt in. Top one looks like it might be good. Boom, there's that one. Now we gotta get the bottom one, which is gonna be a little bit harder. crank these down. Alright, so we got alternator, tensioner, our 2 rollers on. We were gonna do water pump and thermostat, but we decided it'd be easier to do the exhaust manifold first, just so we can route the lines later. So we're gonna go ahead, throw that thing on right there. Don't know if we'll be able to record it because it's gonna take 2 hands. But we got our new gasket, and all it is just throwing that on. All right, so we got the exhaust manifold on. All the bolts are tightened all the way around, even this one right there, which is almost impossible to get. All right, now we're gonna put on the intake manifold, and then we'll do the water pump, thermostat, and I'm still waiting on the sandwich plate to come in the mail today for the oil filter. So I got intake manifold ready to go on, got a new gasket on there. So, comes to the front. This thing almost looks like a motor. A couple more things to button up. All that. Water pump. This thing should be ready within the next hour. So, we got 2 nuts and 3 bolts holding on the intake manifold. So, tighten these down. All right, intake manifold is on. Now we're gonna work on the water pump, which I have a new gasket for right there. On this side, you're gonna have your 2 shorter bolts on the left-hand side, and then your 3 longer bolts, which are 1, 2, the one in the middle, and then 3 towards the bottom. And then we have our thermostat back here, which is gonna have normally 2 studs, but the machine shop took out the studs. I'm just gonna use bolts. So you got 2 longer ones on this side, shorter on this side. All right, so I had to disconnect the water pump from the thermostat just because it wouldn't fit in with the turbo. So I got that. I also did the power steering bracket, which is just the 2 long bolts, 2 short bolts, and then I just buttoned some stuff up in the front. I got the vacuum lines on, or coolant lines, all plugged in and clamped down. So now we just gotta put the thermostat on, and we're ready to take this off the stand, put it on the hoist, put the flywheel, put the clutch. She's going in. All right guys, here it is. It is ready to go in. Well, first we have to put on the flywheel and the clutch. But besides that, well, first off, I want to show you guys, I have this vacuum port blocked off. These 2 are now non-functioning. And then I blocked off that vacuum port. The reason why I did this is because I would not be able to get my coupler on for my air intake, my cold air intake, without doing that. And they're vacuum ports, so they're not really necessary. But the line would basically, and got in the way. So now I can fit my intake in there. These are hanging until they go into the motor. Everything else is ready to go in. I think so. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the engine hoist and bring it over here, assemble it, and hook it up. And she's time to go in.